the stepdad or my mom's ex-husband, and I got kicked out of the house. So when I got kicked out of the house, boom, he got me my apartment or a apartment. And it was like $300, $400 at that time in Camden, New Jersey. And it was like a high-rise tower or something like that. But I got involved with different females, and I wasn't really like taking care of my home. I kind of was like taking care of their home and assumed their responsibilities instead of investing in myself and building myself. It was kind of weird where I was just going from one home to their home, and then I would come back home and somebody else would be living in my home, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? Like, this can't be. This is kind of weird. So kids, don't do that, man. Invest in yourself. Don't try and take on somebody else's responsibilities. And I was, and a lot of the places where I stayed, they weren't mine. All right. They weren't my house. They weren't my apartment. They were other people's houses. They were other people's apartments. It was pretty much, I was like a deadbeat. I was like a bum, abusing friendships and stuff like that instead of taking care of responsibilities. Now, did I go to work and come back to their spot while I was in that relationship and take care of business, pay rent and stuff like that? Yes. But I still didn't feel like a boss, like I was winning. Like that's the main thing, man. I felt homeless, and that's the story of the homeless story.
When you think back on it, one of the things that I know that we all take for granted is just the fact that we can easily have breakfast when we want to, lunch when we want to, take a hot shower, a hot bath when we want to. And when you were in some of those, I guess, more low moments of your life and you realize, man, I can't even have a meal comfortably, or I can't bathe comfortably. What were some of the lessons and the things that you would teach yourself during those hard times so you could kind of push through it and eventually rise above it?
Well, I knew that it wouldn't always last long. Like, I didn't, my mom always told me this. She said, we're in this world to kind of grow, make mistakes, have fun and stuff like that. But in those times, like my mom's voice would come in my head and say, yo, these issues are not going to last long. Like there will be a turning point. All right. You will be able to dig yourself back up. You will become what you're supposed to become, what the universe and God wants you to become. You will do that as long as you get out of your own way. And most people, like, I take that literally. Like when people say get out of your own way, I took that literally. Like, wow, how am I in my own way? And then that's when I started thinking about how am I thinking? How am I speaking? Who am I hanging around? My circle. Like what am I consuming on TV, radio, all that type of things. And those were pretty much the lessons, man. I didn't want to feel helpless anymore when I was going through those too, because some of those situations I felt a little bit helpless, but it was my own self-inflicted wounds that I was causing. So that's what I learned so far.
And then what is that moment when you really tapped into the fact that you are worth success? In spite of all the things you went through that were not the most favorable, when did you realize that, look, I'm worthy of success in my life?
Well, when did I realize I was worthy of success? Well, that's a funny story. That actually came when my wife said, hey, you better go see somebody because you're angry. You're angry all the time. And I'm telling her, like, no, I'm not angry. Like, I didn't realize that, but she's seeing on the outside. In my mind, I'm like, I'm not angry. I'm not even like pissed off or anything like that, but she's seeing me with those emotions and the way I was expressing myself. So I went to go see a psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist, I can't remember his name right now, but he was pretty much a good psychiatrist. And he helped me work through some of the issues. And some of the issues I was holding on to was the abandonment issues, the abuse issues. And, why didn't anybody want to take care of me? I felt like I wasn't good enough issues, and, a whole bunch of different things that I had to work through. And pretty much working through it, I pretty much wrote down my thoughts, and I looked at it, I was like, that's the way I'm thinking. I'm like, wow, I'm really thinking like that. So then I had to like really think and change the way I was doing that. And some of the things that kind of helped me through that was listening to Justin Perry from youarecreators.org, or Bob Proctor from the Proctor Gallagher Institute, or it's a few different individuals. Hey, this is my baby. Hey, baby.
Hi.
I'll talk to you soon, baby. But yeah, those were some of the things that actually helped me through it. Actually taking my mental health seriously, because I was just grinding. And that's one of the words that I stopped using, was grinding, because the actual word grinding is you really like grinding into dust. And you're grinding, so whatever it is, you're grinding that into dust. And I stopped using that and instead changed the grinding to hustle. Like if you hustle, okay, cool. So that's when you said, yeah, you changed your words and how you started thinking. That's the things I started thinking about. Like when people say, hey, you got to grind. Like E.T., the hip hop preacher, he's big on, grind, which I get it, but I just put a different spin on it. So when I do my motivation, I put hustle. I like hustle. Don't stop hustling. So
definitely. I love what you said about taking your mental health seriously. And some of the listeners out there, they probably want to gain some nuggets of wisdom from you. I don't want you to spoil and give away your book entirely, but give us some daily habits that David Hicks will embrace to keep his mental health in check.
Well, I watch what I do before I go to sleep. So that's either I pretty much stop watching TV for the most part. Like every now and then I might watch like a show on Netflix or something like that. But it has nothing to do with death. It has nothing to do with murder. It has nothing to do with, crime and all that type of stuff. It's really some like self-empowering things. Or I'll read a book on my Kindle, or like a hard copy book like Think and Grow Rich. And I read that before I go to sleep. Now, when I wake up, I have a card on my window, on my mirror, that's one of them says, use your power to build, not destroy. Or another one is saying, like my goals for 2018, which is reaching millions of people, doing interviews and podcasts. So you actually making one of my goals in 2018 happen. Thank you. and just write down my thoughts. I actually keep one of these. Like I have so many books around here. Like my girls, when they get older and they, and I'm long gone, they'll go back and be like, Daddy, he was thinking like this, but then he changed it like this. It can actually probably help them long term. And just keeping positive affirmations. Like I'll go on YouTube and in the mornings when I'm like getting it together, I'll listen to Esther Hicks, who's another individual who's all about spiritual well-being and making sure you align your energies and raise your vibrations higher than what they want to be. And then also just remembering to be grateful. Oprah Winfrey also talks about make sure gratitude, like gratitude. You be grateful for what you have right now to be grateful for what you have later on. And that's what I do. That's it.
Nice. So tell us a little bit about your book and some of the inspiration, which I know is your story mostly, but what encouraged you to kind of put it to written word?
That came when I was actually going through the mental health issues and anger issues. And I was like, one day, like, I always want to set the tone for my brothers and sisters. Like, so if I want to do something, I want them to be proud. I want my mom to be proud. So I was like, okay, I have a story. Let me just put it together. So I think I was in Arizona actually is when I started writing Golden Mynd. And in that first day, I wrote 4 chapters. So I was like, all right, I'm on to something right here. Because if I can write 4 chapters, and they're not long chapters or anything like that. Like I didn't want to put a lot of fluff in the book either. But it's straight to the point. But when I wrote the 4 chapters, and then I pretty much wrote the book in like, I want to say 6 months. It took me to like get it from start to finish in the order that I wanted it to be. And it was pretty much a way for me to let go and release some of the things that I was holding on to, like the anger, the lack of self-worth, or not being grateful for what I had, and appreciation and things like that. So it was kind of like an outlet why I even wrote this book. But in the meantime, when I was writing the book, I was like, I'm going to make this inspirational for other people so where they can use this. And you can see it's not even thick. So you can read this in literally like 45 minutes. But when I want somebody to read this, I want y'all to read this like and compare it to like your life story, because none of us are actually going through anything alone. There's always somebody that's actually going through something a little bit worse. And there's always somebody that can actually help you out in those hard times. Like my friend Jason Tucker, who always said, there's always somebody that's going through something worse. Appreciate what you have right now. He's a longtime Air Force friend too. And his words always stuck in my head. But this is like legacy to me. This is like legacy, motivation, personal growth, the start of success, even before I even knew it was the start of success. So, if you're out there, go ahead and get Golden Mynd, reclaim your greatness you were born with. I'll leave all of that to the end when we close out with Kirsten. But I'm just going on a rant right now.
No, you're good. You're good. Something I want to know, I think it was beautiful. I just saw your daughter and I believe your wife kind of halfway coming in. And what I want to know, you have evolved to this person, you're a family man now. You talked about the fact that, your dad, that was a non-existent relationship, but how you are the example of changing the story. And if you could tell your dad anything, what would be one thing you would want him to know about you, in spite of him not being there?
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. What would I tell my dad in spite of him not being in my life? I would go and say, look at me now. Like, not to rub it in his face or anything like that, but it's a thing of, in spite of you not being here, I'm still the man that my mom helped raise and the man that the universe and God wanted me to become so far. Like I'm not doing crazy things. I'm not in the, doing bad things and hurting people and destroying. I'm actually building. I'm taking care of my family like a man is supposed to, providing and giving my family, my girls, my son, the love that they need in order to go out into this world. Because this world is not always peaches and cream like everybody would like to think. It can be dark at times. And my wife and me, we try and make sure that we take our girls, take the time to spend time with them and teach them lessons, because we are their first teachers, whether people want to believe it or not. We, the parents, are the first teachers. So what they learn in their home, they go out into the world and they express. And that's pretty much it. It's like, Dad, are you proud of me? That's it. Are you proud of me? That's pretty much all I would want, because I've always searched for that validation from other people, and I never sought it from myself. I never sought validation from myself to say, hey, you know what, you doing a good job, man. Give yourself a pat on the back. Like, you're not messing up. You're not crazy. Yeah, you're gonna make mistakes, but it's not to the extreme of to where somebody's dying or somebody's becoming homeless because of your mistakes or anything like that. So you're doing a good job. Thanks, David. I appreciate you for taking care of business, David.
Definitely. And I know your mom, she has been a rock in your life. She is a rock in your life. If you could tell her thank you for something that you don't often speak, what would you say to her today?
Oh, moms knows how I feel about moms, because one of the things that's always in my head, and my mom has always got all of these quotes that I remember as an adult now, but as a kid I was like, get out of here, Mom. But she's always like, Mother's Day. So Mother's Day is coming. Everybody's like, oh, let me go get these flowers and cards and stuff like that. But my mom was always like, Mother's Day is every day. Call your mom, tell her you appreciate her, give her the flowers while, before everybody else just celebrates it for one day and then it goes away and people forget about their mom and stuff like that. So, Mom, hey, I love you. She knows I love her, and I'm working to try and build something that she can be proud of. I've always done everything to make sure my mom is proud of me, like, and not disappointed. Because the one thing that I've learned in my travels all over the world is other cultures, they really stress the importance of making the family proud. So I took that